Hi, y'all, and welcome back. If you're new here, welcome and glad you found us. I am JoJo, and it is great to meet you. We are about to talk about another true crime case and hopefully see justice be done. But before we do, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and turn your bell notifications to all so you can make sure to be notified when I post new videos. Thank you, everyone, for all your support. It means the world to me. Now sit back, kick off your shoes, grab your tissues and stress balls, and let's dive in. The content you are about to watch contains the subject matter of a real-life true crime event. Therefore, it is not suitable for all ages and is only intended for adults. Hi, y'all, and happy Thursday to y'all. Today was Andrew McGann's arraignment. Let's go ahead and find out, what did he plead?
Coming up this morning, the man accused of double homicide at Devilston State Park is due in court in Washington County.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Jacob Plea is out there live now where Andrew McGann is expected to be arraigned this morning. Good morning, Jacob.
Yeah, good morning, Joe. Good morning, Tiffany. He's expected to be arraigned here at 8 a.m. at the Washington County Detention Center. Again, this hearing was moved up from August 25th to today. Recent court filings show that McGann will be represented by attorneys James Wyatt and Catherine Street. And of course, the state will be represented by Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Dennis Dean, as well as Prosecuting Attorney Brandon Carter. And now let's take a look at how we got to this case, right? He's facing 2 counts of capital murder for the deaths of Kristen and Clinton Brink at Devil's Den State Park on July 26th. Officials say the couple was hiking with their 2 young daughters at Devil's Den when they were attacked. The 2 girls, who are 7 and 9 years old, were reportedly not injured and are safe with family members. This sparked a manhunt in the area with local, state, and federal agencies all taking part. Now, according to a preliminary report, police were able to identify the suspect's vehicle as a black Kia Stinger and located it at a barbershop in Springdale. McGann, a teacher living in Springdale, was taken into custody at that barbershop on July 30th.
Which is so scary.
Also says that investigators noticed wounds on McGann's hands as well as blood located inside the vehicle. McGann first appeared in front of a judge on August 1st, where he was formally read his rights and appointed an attorney. 5 News spoke with Washington County Prosecuting Attorney Brandon Carter.
There's
after
that hearing.
This is what he had to say.
This is a case where I want the public to feel safe. Devil's Den State Park is going to reopen at some point. We released certain details in the probable cause paperwork so that the public would feel confident and safe that the right person is in custody at this point.
Now, according to that preliminary report, after being read his Miranda rights, McGann had actually made statements indicating that he had committed both the killings. Again, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. But for now, I'm live in Fayetteville, covering news where you live. Jacob Luthi, 5 News.
Okay, so if he's already admitted to it, and why even bother having an arraignment? Just plead guilty and get it over with and just save everybody. I mean, you save the taxpayers' money and you will save the family the heartache of having to go through this trial. I've got an article already pulled up over here. So, Devil's Den double homicide suspect pleads not guilty to capital red rum charges. Didn't see that one coming. Let's go ahead and see what this little blurb is about over here.
Of a suspect in the Devil's Den murders. This was a major win for police, a huge relief for the Ozarks, breaking news across the country, and just maybe the big break that a cold case detective in some other states has been waiting for. And I'm sure you're aware, 28-year-old school teacher Andrew James McGann is the man police say fatally stabbed Clinton and Cristen.
Look, it says right here, case closed. But yet, he's pleading not guilty. Why?
Brink in front of their 2 young daughters in Arkansas's Devil's Den State Park. The crime was vicious, brazen, and according to police, completely random. But sadly, that doesn't make it unique. McGann's arrest caught the attention of the daughter of Honoree Fleming, a retired college dean who was shot to death on a hiking trail in Vermont in October of 2023. Vermont State Police have been in touch with the folks in Arkansas, but for now, they say there's no evidence that those two cases are connected. But then there's Wisconsin and the fatal stabbing of a 24-year-old man in 2020. John Schmutzer was ambushed and killed in Devil's Lake State Park. That alone, by the way, is worth a phone call to the cops on the Devil's Den case, right? There is more. In the Devil's Lake murder, witnesses described a potential person of interest who is 5'10" to 6 feet, dressed in black with a hood, a mask, and a backpack. Devil's Den witnesses described a man of medium build and height in a dark shirt, dark pants, dark baseball cap, sunglasses, and a backpack. I'm going to stop right there. I want to bring on Reagan Wynn, digital producer with our News Nation affiliate KNWA in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Thank you so much for coming on. So how seriously are authorities taking this right now?
Interesting.
Serious enough to discuss digitally transferring DNA evidence. I mean, we established there's no possible connection.
That is interesting, too. I didn't know that they could digitally transfer DNA. Did any of you guys know that? Just learned something new.
With Vermont at the moment, they just exchanged notes, but the Wisconsin police they're looking to compare the DNA evidence. That's how seriously they're taking it.
By the way, any new details on this guy since his arrest? Because he didn't say very much in his hearing last week. What are we learning about him?
The two new things we have this week is arraignment has been moved up 2 weeks from the 25th to the 14th, as well as today, KNWA learned that he had applied to 2 local schools before being hired by the Springdale school we knew he was going to be slated to work for, and he was rejected by both those schools. So
yeah,
a lot
I just found that out
as we continue to follow his employment history.
Taking these allegations as true, how frightening is that?
I just recently found that out, too, because I've been actually doing a deep dive into his teaching history, which I will be putting a video out here shortly, hopefully within the next day or two. But I've also got my irons into another fire as well. Possibly going to be doing some updates on another trial that I started watching.
And by the way, we know McGann has teaching certifications in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas. Do we know if he has connections to Vermont and Wisconsin?
Not yet.
So far, we have not seen teacher certifications in Vermont or Wisconsin. However, he is 28, and you're running out of time to be able to collect as many certifications as you can. So if there's a connection in either of those states, I'm not sure it would be through employment as much as it would be through travel or school.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You don't win a prize at the end of the day for trying to get as many certifications as possible. Vermont, as you said, so Vermont State Police, they're saying there's likely no connection. That could change. We're going to explore that in a minute. Just going back to authorities in Wisconsin, I got to say, some of the similarities are uncanny, no?
I mean, all the similarities from the suspect's description to the place to the method of death, the stabbing. At least with the Vermont case, it was a firearm involved, but the stabbing on the trail seems to ring true with both cases.
And by the way, do we have any idea a little bit more about if these allegations are true, the motive, the planning, some more details of the crime? How close are investigators keeping this to the vest? I mean, we're still in kind of the early stages of this and trying to understand, but what have you learned over the past week or so?
As far as investigators have released, it seems to be a random target, but not a random act. It was not an act that was not planned. His license plate was taped over. There was some level of looking to murder someone that day, but so far investigators do not think they were he was targeting the Brinks specifically, or even the Brink children or the Brink couple themselves. It seems I'm sorry. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I mean, I don't believe he was targeting mom and dad necessarily. I don't believe that he was necessarily going after Cristen or Clinton, but in my heart of hearts, I do believe that he was after those poor little girls, and that Cristen and Clinton, they went down fighting
like heroes to save those innocent little girls and doing what parents ought to do for their children. Keep coming out and saying that he was not going after them little girls. Then why else attack Clinton? I can't fathom any other plausible explanation as to why he went after Clinton. It just make sense to me in any other way.
Seems to be a random target, but not a random crime.
And by the way, this is why there is this conversation. Is he connected to what could be arguably seen as other random killings? And by the way, he's from Chicago, right? I mean, do we know a little bit more about his past, his life, things of that nature?
What we have confirmed so far is he did go to high school, two Chicago high schools, and he finished up at Oak Park, that's in the Chicago area. We also learned that Devil's Lake is just a 3-hour-ish drive from the Chicago area. So that's also something to keep in mind as we try to figure out what the connection is. I was talking with the KWA newsroom today. It's not our job as journalists to put the strings together, but merely to place the thumbtacks on that decision tree. And so as we continue to learn more, we're making notes and seeing if there's possible connection.
Is this shocking to the community? I mean, Devil's Den, does anything like this ever happen?
You hear that a lot whenever you're covering a lot of the nation thinks like rural community. And it's safe to say things like this typically don't happen here. And I think it shook a lot of people here. Devil's Den is a highly trafficked state park. It's one of, the prides of Northwest Arkansas. And so it definitely shook the community, and it's even the media community. We don't cover things like this often.
And I'll tell you, I mean, thank goodness they caught the suspect. Look, he's innocent until proven guilty. But at the end of the day, when someone's at large after such a brazen attack like this, it can definitely scare the community. Unfortunately, it's brought a lot of eyes to this area for all the wrong reasons. Reagan Wynn, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
With his history, as far as his teaching career goes, and what I have found out so far going through my deep dive into just his teaching career alone, okay? So it's sickening. I'll just say that right now. It is sickening to know that he was a teacher. And long story short, for right now, personally, I believe that the schools were partially at fault. Being that, I wasn't there. I don't know the whole story. All I know so far is just what I've been able to uncover, I guess you would say, in a sense. And that is that he has been able to go from school to school, and he's in a new school at least one every year. But there's been some years to where he's been in more than one school a year teaching. Put that in your minds and stir it around. More than one school a year teaching. And not as a substitute. I'm not talking substitute teaching. I am talking actual teacher teaching. He's getting these accusations put against him. And these schools, instead of putting in reports or firing him, we're just letting him resign and then saying that he resigned for some other reason. They're letting him resign and then just move on to another district. So basically they're just saying, I washed my hands of him. He's out of our district. He's away from our kids. It's somebody else's problem. I don't have to worry about it anymore, so what do I care? And that pisses me the hell off. And I'm sorry if you got sensitive ears, but it does. And I'm quite sure that other parents out there like myself feel the same exact damn way. And it's time to find a way to put a stop to stuff like this happening. There is absolutely no call whatsoever for this going on. And unfortunately, it's taken a tragedy like this happening to really bring this to the forefront. And it shouldn't, because this was totally preventable. If this man would have been reported, and you know what? No, I'm not even going to call him a man, because he's not a man. He is a monster. If this monster would have been reported from the start at the very first school that he started teaching at, this would have probably never happened. And them little girls would still have their mommy and daddy and wouldn't be traumatized from watching their mommy and daddy getting unalived in that type of manner. So, am I upset? You damn straight I'm upset. It's for all of the Clinton and Cristens out there and their little girls out there that could be affected in this way because of these school systems not doing their job. And then to just say, oh, well, we ran a background check on him and his background check came back clean. Okay. But did you really dig and find out about those allegations that he had at the very first school that he worked? I mean, it's not like it took very much digging on even my part. A couple of Google searches when this case even first came out for me to find out about that very first school and the allegations that were brought against him. So, a school system couldn't even have done that? Please, give me a break. And it's not like this was from like the 90s when the internet wasn't as efficient. So his very first license that he got was actually in Oklahoma. And the effective date of it was 5/7/2022. So he's only been a teacher for 3 years. Yet, he has actually been employed by 5 schools that I have found so far. 5 schools in 3 years. And no red flags have ever been put up. We're going to go ahead. We're going to read this article. I don't want to make this video too awful long today because I do have other things that I need to get to today as well. So, we've already read the title. This was posted August 14th, 2025, which is today at 8:41 a.m. and that's Central Time. It was updated today, August 14th, 2025, at 9:59 a.m. Central Time. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Andrew James McGann, the man accused of killing 2 people at Devil's Den State Park in July, has pleaded not guilty to red rum charges. McGann, 28, is charged with 2 counts of capital red rum connected to the stabbing deaths of Clinton David Brink, 43, and Cristen Amanda Brink, 41, from Prairie Grove at the West Fork Park. Okay, West Fork Park. I guess that is that like the name of the actual park? I thought it was Devil's Den State Park. Or is that the name possibly of where the trailhead was located? I will have to look into that. Okay, so he entered a not guilty plea during his arraignment at the Washington County Detention Center on Thursday morning, which would be this morning. Washington County Judge Joanna Taylor scheduled McGann's next hearing for November 14th. Write that in pencil, everybody, because they already moved up this hearing because it was actually supposed to be scheduled for originally, I believe it was August 25th, and today is August 14th. So they actually pushed the arraignment up. So they might do that with the November 14th hearing as well. So just write November 14th in your planners in pencil now, because we might have to change that as well. A court order filed by Taylor on August 13th barred any recording devices from being in the courtroom. There was no way for anybody to be able to record the arraignment today, which I don't understand that. They let cameras in on his initial hearing. Why didn't they let him in for the arraignment? It doesn't make sense, but we're going to get to that. And I have one more video that we're going to watch after we go over this article that they're even confused about this. The journalists are even confused about this because this is not normal, even in that area and in that district, for them to not allow cameras in the courtroom for arraignments. McGann's arraignment lasted around 30 minutes, and as his team of public defenders left the jail, KNWA Fox's 24's questions were met with complete silence. KNWA Fox's 24 spoke with Washington County Prosecuting Attorney Brandon Carter after the arraignment. Carter said that McGann showed very little emotion and had little to say. Carter said he expects a gag order to be set in the case, given the national attention it has received. There's been so many other cases that have received national attention. You go back to the BK case, and yeah, they had a gag order put in place, but what happened? Information still got leaked. So it just goes to show, when people want information, they're going to get it one way or another. Please, judge, please, do not put a gag order on this. We want our information. We want to know what's going on. So, I mean, yes, there's certain things that we don't need to know. And there's certain things that, yes, the public doesn't need to know while the case is ongoing, because it's going to possibly cause problems during trial, and I understand that fully. But there's got to be some sort of transparency, and I really hope that this judge does not say that they're not going to allow cameras in the courtroom. Please, judge, if you are listening, please allow cameras in the courtroom. Okay? Transparency is not just about making this an entertainment thing. It's because we want to ensure that justice is done for Clinton and Cristen. And we want to make sure that it's done legitimately. Please, just listen to the public. Don't lock us all out. At least not completely. McGann made his initial court appearance on August 1st, where he was appointed a public defender, which we've all seen the video of that one. Carter requested during the August 1st hearing that McGann have no contact with the victim's family. McGann was ordered to be held without bond. McGann's arraignment was originally scheduled for August 25th, but was moved up 11 days. Yeah, I just talked about that a second ago. Carter has said that the state has not ruled out the DP in the case against McGann. I don't know. I really have a feeling that he's going to end up trying to take a plea on this one to get out of the DP if they do try to go after the DP, which, if you remember, I think it was the second news conference from ASP after the arrest, that they did say that they were going to be going after the DP on this case. So let's go into the case background. Arkansas State Police previously said that McGann confessed and that DNA found at the crime scene matched his. ASP said the attack on the couple was random. A preliminary report from the Washington County Prosecuting Attorney's Office said dispatch received a 911 call from Devil's Den State Park on July 26 from someone saying they found two bodies on a trail and a large amount of blood was present. The hiker found two girls and led them off the trail before attempting to look for their parents. The The hiker then found the bodies of the parents on the trail, according to the report. ASP investigators arrived at the park and interviewed a person at the park who said they saw someone get into a black sedan with blood on his face and drive away onto State Highway 170. A second witness said the black sedan was a Kia Stinger. On July 28, an autopsy was performed on the two victims' bodies, and preliminary findings showed both victims died in a homicide by stabbing wounds. On July 30, police located the suspect's vehicle at Lupita's Beauty Salon in Springdale around 4:58 p.m., which we've all by now have probably seen the video of her giving him a haircut, or starting to give him a haircut, and then law enforcement officers arresting him there in the beauty salon with the haircutting cape still on him. Investigators walked into the barbershop and asked about the vehicle in the parking lot. A man who was receiving a haircut, later identified as McGann, said he owned the vehicle. The report said investigators noted that while speaking with McGann, they saw cuts on his hands. McGann was then detained, and investigators entered his vehicle with his consent to get his ID. Once investigators got into McGann's vehicle, they found, quote, a substance appearing to be blood, end quote, inside the vehicle. McGann's vehicle was then seized and taken to Arkansas State Police Troop L headquarters in Lowell. McGann was taken to ASP's headquarters to be interviewed, and he made statements indicating he had committed 2 homicides. Authorities in 2 states have looked into possible connections between McGann and other unsolved Red Rum cases. Vermont State Police said on August 7 that the department found, quote, no known link, end quote, between McGann and an unsolved homicide case involving Honoree Fleming or Vermont in general. Authorities in Wisconsin are also reviewing possible connections between a 2020 unsolved stabbing at Devil's Lake State Park and Devil's Den State Park double homicide. I have another video over here for us to watch, and then we will be ending this video for today. So let's go ahead and watch this. It's actually pretty short.
It's an interesting day here inside the Washington County Detention Center where Andrew McGann is being held without bond, charged with 2 counts of capital murder. Today was his arraignment hearing. Normally that happens not in this room. There's a waiting room and there's a makeshift courtroom, so to speak, on the few rooms over. Normally those arraignment proceedings are put on a month.
Which, if you look, you'll see right here is this TV. This is actually from his first appearance when they showed that video of his first appearance. This is how it was broadcast. That's how we were able to see it, because reporters just ended up basically recording this TV right here.
Monitor where the public can see and hear. Not today. When we arrived, there was a court order preventing any of that from happening. The public was not allowed to witness McGann's arraignment. Now, he has been, according to the prosecutor, because we couldn't see the arraignment, the prosecutor says McGann has been issued public defenders with the Arkansas Indigent Defense Team. He says coming up next will be preliminary hearings throughout. All those hearings will happen in Washington, in the Washington County Courthouse, Washington County Circuit Court. He says, the prosecutor, that McGann pleaded not guilty to those 2 capital murder charges. And he says that he doesn't know of any defense attorney that would allow any other pleading in a case like this than a not guilty plea. And as far as timeline, he tells it that this case will take longer than most other cases would take for it to go to trial or to reach a conclusion. And as far as just exactly what that time frame is, we can't tell you for sure, but longer.
Okay, so why would it take longer? I'm a bit confused on that. Is it because of the fact that it's a double homicide? I mean, because he's already confessed, essentially, if the reports are true. So I would think that would actually make it move a little bit faster. I mean, his DNA matched. But another thing that was reported is that blood that was found in his car ended up matching. I don't remember if it was Clinton or Cristen or both, but I remember seeing some reports saying that it matched one or both of them. So, I mean, there is just so much actual evidence stacking up against him. How could this take more time to get to trial? I don't understand that. Maybe y'all can weigh in on the comments and let me know if you understand it, because to me it just doesn't make any sense. The math is not mathing for me right now.
In most other cases is what the prosecutor says. And he also tells us that he was unaware of the order that was posted on the door here, preventing cameras and preventing the public. It was filed late yesterday afternoon, prohibiting that order. Let's take a look at it. It was posted on the door here inside the Washington County Detention Center, prohibiting cameras, broadcasting, other means. It was signed by Crawford County, Washington County Circuit Court Judge.
Okay, I can't see that. Let's see if maybe we can, let's try and zoom in on that. I don't think I'm going to be able to zoom in. It's just going to get distorted if I try, but I'm going to try anyway. Yeah, it's just distorting it. I am so sorry, y'all. I tried. Not working. No bueno. Sorry about that.
Joanna Taylor. Now, you see what that order says, but bailiffs and jailers would not allow anyone in. That meant that what happened today was the public was not allowed to witness this arraignment. Now, attorneys that I've talked to, normally arraignments are public. Now, it's transparency. That's the court process. If someone's accused of a crime, that's a public hearing, but not in this case. We were told that only defense attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, and the judge were allowed to be in that arraignment. So we just talked to the prosecuting attorney. We'll have more on that coming up tonight, of course. We tried to talk to the defense attorneys, but they were not issuing any statements. We'll show you a video and tell you more about them coming up tonight. For now, we're live in Fayetteville. Brett Raines, 4029 News.
All right, Brett, thanks so much for this latest updates. Just talking to the prosecutor, Brandon Carter there. Carter told us that this is the hard part. The long walk begins now, and says that McGann's demeanor, that he was quiet and emotionless, and the only thing he said in the courtroom during that arraignment when the charges of capital murder were read to him were not guilty. Again, the state is seeking the death penalty on this. Remember, Arkansas State Police call these killings completely random at Devil's Den State Park, a double murder. McGann is accused of killing 43-year-old Clinton Brink and 41-year-old Amanda Brink on the hiking trail at Devil's Den. Two daughters were also there with them. They were unharmed. We are going to have continuing breaking news coverage on this case of Andrew McGann and the arraignment today in court coming up in just a bit. Thanks so much for joining us for this breaking news.
Why did she call her Amanda? That's her middle name. Was that just a mistake? Or does Cristen go by Amanda? Nothing that I've seen actually called her Amanda. Even her Facebook profile, her name was listed as Cristen. So I think that was just a mistake on her part. It was a misspeak. And I understand. I mean, especially if you're alive like that, mistakes happen. Well, I appreciate you guys sticking around with me and watching this case. We're going to stay on top of this because I want to know how this turns out. I want to see justice for Clinton and Cristen, and I want to see justice for those two little girls. Well, I say two little girls. They were the ones who were extremely traumatized because of the fact that they witnessed this. Or possibly, we still don't know what exactly they ended up witnessing. I have a feeling that they witnessed at least something. no matter what, they still lost their mom and dad. From what I'm understanding, the third daughter is older. She is married, to my understanding as well. At least that's something that I did find out. I don't know if it was true or not, and I haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet. So, but there is a possibility that she's married, which means she's not even living in the household anymore. I don't even know if she is living in the area or not, but I do know she was not there that day. 3 daughters lost their mom and dad that day. I'm going to stay on this case, and I will be doing my deep dive on it. May take me a little while to get everything out. I'll probably be putting it out in like sections, like I will be putting it out on a video just on his teaching career, because that's going to be a doozy. And then I don't know exactly how I'm going to break down the other parts yet, as of yet. I'm still working that out. I'm still trying to get everything organized. Trying to get my thoughts organized is just as bad as trying to get my files organized. Those out there that have ADHD, yeah, you understand my struggle. But either way, let's go ahead and put this one to a close. And now we know he's done pled not guilty, even though, in my opinion, he's guilty as sin and should just admit to it. But who am I to say? Innocent until proven guilty, right? Right. So, with that being said, be safe, be happy, and I will catch you on the flip side. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye now.